Who will stop the richest of the rich from being total a-holes? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is an independent book, and if you are interested in it, check out the links down below to see the next issue. A party is roaring nearby, but the guest of honor isn't happy about it, because on this birthday, he will inherit so much money that he becomes one of the 1%, and this isn't making him happy at all. A woman walks over to him and asks if he remembers how to make a wish. Put your lips together and blow. And Renato thinks of a dark night, a night in which a man with a shotgun killed a woman in front of a young child's face. Sometime later, Renato is sitting on Douglas Bradley's yacht. Douglas is a man who likes to surround himself with things that he owns: servants, yachts, helicopters, and anything that he can put a price tag on. And he has invited Renato to his yacht to ask him where he intends to put all of this money that he just inherited. And Renato tells him he's looking for targets. But while explaining this, he bumps into the woman bringing him more wine. He gets up shouting at her, "This is a $1,000 shirt." And he turns to Douglas. "What's this clumsy pig doing on your staff?" Douglas has the woman escorted off the yacht, and as she's leaving, she's begging to be allowed to keep her job for her sick child. And Douglas tells Renato that the poor are disgusting. They aren't even people. That night, Douglas and Renato are running through the boat with Douglas's bodyguards all dead and floating in the ocean. He has Renato and the maid follow him deeper into the yacht into his panic room, where he walks in with Renato, and Renato kicks the maid in the stomach, throwing her out to whoever is killing everyone. She screams for them to let her in, and even Douglas tells Renato, "That was cold. I love it." Renato looks around and he asks what this room is, because there are cameras and torture devices all over the place. Douglas explains that it's his playroom. Exotic dudes with exotic tastes, right? Then he turns his attention to the cameras, and he watches what happened. A man in a suit and a mask jumped on the yacht and proceeded to kill everyone in his path. Douglas thought this guy was a myth, a freelancer that kills the wealthy and no one knows where he's from. Now, where is he from? That's an interesting question. A young boy was living on the streets, and an old man showed up and told him that he needed to come home. It was time to come back to the estate, Renato. He claims that he had spent 8 years looking for him, and now that he had found him, he's going to return it to his grandmother now living on the estate. As overjoyed as she made herself appear to be that Renato was returned, she didn't think that this could possibly be little Renato. He had been missing for 8 years. This must be an imposter. It had to be. So that night she walked into the room with a shotgun, and she opened fire on the lump on the bed that she assumed was the child. She watched as feathers rose into the air and realized it wasn't him. Then she flipped the bed over, knowing that there was only one place that he could be hiding, and she exclaimed that he was an imposter and not her real little Renato. This imposter must be here to put claim on Renato's inheritance, and she would have to kill him to prevent that. With the shotgun in his face, she told him that she has no idea who put him up to this, but he's just a rat, and rats are always breeding. Rat whores breeding little germs like him. Anger began to fuel the little boy called Renato, and he punched the old woman in her groin, shouting, "Don't talk about her!" She dropped the shotgun, and as she reached down to hold her groin, the shotgun hit the ground, going off, blowing a hole in her head. The door then swung open, and there stood the old man that found him. He informed the little boy that Grandma Jones is the one that shot the parents of Renato, and then she drowned the child, letting the current take away his body. But with no body to be found, there was no certificate of death, and all that money that she was after was locked away, awaiting the missing grandchild. Renato Jones deserved to live. His very name means rebirth, and he can live again through you. But everything has a price, so earn it. Back in the present day, Douglas starts to notice something is wrong with the cameras. The time code is off. It's showing him footage from 20 minutes ago. While he was focused on that, Renato had changed his clothing to a nice suit with a mask. Douglas turns around to see the mercenary that he was fearing. "Your employees have been disappearing for years. Dozens of undocumented workers, young women mostly." And he shoves the memory cards with the footage of the torture victims into Douglas's mouth, making him eat them. He starts coughing them up. "What are you trying to prove here?" And then he presses his watch. "Big mistake, dude. Huge mistake." He begins to grow massive inside, with his muscles expanding instantly, and Renato is pushed back. "What the hell?" And then Douglas punches him in the face, throwing him back into the torture chains. Douglas then hits him with his own gun, so Renato takes the chains, wrapping them around Douglas's throat, and he gets his guns ready. Douglas looks up. "Dude, they aren't even people!" as he's holding stacks of money, and Renato doesn't hesitate before shooting Douglas's brains out. With the whole mess smoking in front of him, he thinks to himself, "I watched greed fall like the rain. I watched the blood reclaim what had once traded away. Contained, controlled. Tonight proved many things, but mostly that it's time to expand the hunt." Meanwhile, the woman that Renato had escorted off the boat arrives home where her credit card is declined. "One of those days?" the cabbie asks her as she runs inside to get money, but she is shocked to see a moving truck there and her mother holding her son, and an older man smiling, telling her, "I didn't want to wait. We're here to move you to your new home." And that is the story of Renato Jones. Now, this is written, drawn, and owned by the same guy that brought us the Iron Fist amazing storylines that I covered a long time ago. I'm going to link both of those down below, but if you enjoy his artwork or his storytelling, this is definitely a book to check out. As of telling this story, issue 2 is already in the store, so click that link and go check out the next story yourself. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Comicstorian, and I'll see you guys around.